Where's my snare? What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Cubs baseball channel. Chuck Walter, Mick Gillespie with you. The Cubs have a positive homestand.
That's so funny, dude. That is so funny. From the Eminem song.
Right out of the gate.
Give me more snare.
I need more snare in my headphones. The Chicago Cubs, 64-59 on the season as they take 2 of 3 against the Kansas City Royals. It's now a trip to Motor City and the Detroit Tigers, who are 57-67 on the season. Once again, Chuck Walter, Mick Gillespie with you. Like, subscribe, comment. Let's keep this channel going. To the moon, baby! To the moon! Along with Dogecoin. Let's start it off with me and my Javi Baez shirt. Can I get this? Come on. Take 2. All right. Javi Baez, will he ever regain form? He's with the Detroit Tigers. Obviously, that's who the Chicago Cubs will see Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. The Tigers gave him 6 years, $140 million in opt-out after his second year. I can tell you Javi Baez isn't going to be opting out. Baez right now, you see the numbers, 223, 8 home runs, a 592 OPS. He's booed more often than he hits home runs. Everything that worked about him in Chicago, the feast and the famine, the boom and the bust, lots of boom. It's a lot more bust in Detroit. And it seems like it may be heading towards a failed marriage. What do you think, Mick? Does he last this thing out in Detroit, never get back to the player that he once was?
When he came up, he was dealing with a lot of these issues in the minor leagues. Overswings, swinging from his hips, striking out a lot, middle away sliders that he couldn't hit. People wondered, would he be able to make an adjustment? And he started to hit the ball to right field and walk. And then pitchers had to throw him strikes, and he became the star that we all loved. And I still love Javi Baez. I'm not just as a player, but as a person. He's one of my favorites. But with that said, it's really, I guess the best way of saying it, disappointing to see the kind of player that he is right now, because he strikes out a ton. He's injured a lot, and I don't see the same intensity that he used to play with and the passion. And some of that could be from age, some of that could be from dealing with injuries, who knows? But I think there's still a great player in there. I just don't know if he's ever going to get it back. And part of that was winning the 2016 World Series. You're never going to accomplish anything bigger. And that's the tough part for all of those guys to kind of deal with. Is you may never ever accomplish a bigger feat than that in that ring. So will he eventually be a better player? I hope so, but the last couple years have been rough.
What is his biggest issue right now?
Well, I just think it's patience. You got to be patient at the plate. He's a very aggressive hitter, and if he's not willing to accept the walk, and if he's not willing to take what is given to him, meaning if the pitch is easier to drive it to right field, then do that and take a single instead of trying to hit a home run on every single pitch. He was one of the best, most electric players I've ever seen. He had an incredible passion for the game. I got a feeling he's going to bring that against the Cubs, just because he loved being a Cub, and he's always going to be a Cub, even when he retires, even as he plays on other teams, because, he's part of the greatest team the Cubs have ever had, and helped them break the curse. But, at the same time, it's going to take him being patient and going the other way. Or maybe something worse is going on, and that's that he's gotten older and his bat speed isn't there, and he has to cheat to try to develop that same bat speed. And if that's the case, then it could be really tough for him to regain form. It's crazy to see what happened to him and Chris Bryant, 2 of the great Cubs that were developed in-house all time. They got to the World Series and won it all. And KB's had, his own set of issues in Colorado, and it looked like, it's turned out to be a really smart move that the Cubs didn't sign those guys. Anthony Rizzo's played well when he's been healthy in New York. Obviously, the concussion in the back have kind of been issues for him. And Kyle Schwarber is, I guess, the best of the 4 of them, right? He's like a home run, hitter, but, he's never been the guy I thought he would be, because I thought he would have the high batting average. He has the ability to do that, but he's turned into more of a slugger. But, last year when the Phillies were making their run, he was a big part of that. So it's just crazy when you look back on those 4 guys. They were like the core 4 and where they are right now. And I thought that Javi Baez was going to have the best career of all 4. And unfortunately, right now, he's the worst of the 4.
There were some upset Cubs fans, including my mother-in-law, whose favorite player was El Mago, had the jersey, everything. And when they shipped him to the New York Mets for a young prospect, I'm sure everyone said, prospects! Well, that prospect now is Pete Crow Armstrong, who's tearing it up in AAA, has about a 300 batting average. It's a 299, nearly a 1,000 OPS, has stolen 5 bags and not been thrown out once, has played Gold Glove caliber defense, and now it looks like this is probably directly from the top when they've said, we're going to have Pete Crow Armstrong play some corner outfield spots instead of center field. You would think, and this is developed in the last couple of days, you would think that because of this news, it means that PCA is probably on the rise here soon as they're trying to figure out where he can help out in the bigs.
Well, he played a little corner outfield with the Smokies this year, not a whole lot. He's a Gold Glove winning center fielder, and he's like a fish in water when he's doing that. But he's got the ability to play the corner spots. I still just don't understand why the Cubs have this fascination, love for Miles Mastrobuoni. I just don't see it, and I guess I need to watch more of him to figure out, what they see, because there's a reason that they have him up there. I just don't. I haven't really been able to pinpoint that myself, but maybe I haven't watched enough of his games. I do feel really comfortable about Hollywood Pete. I just think he's going to provide this team a spark. He finds a way to score. His ability to score runs is a superpower. He's able to just see the ball, where it's going in the dirt, take a base. He's so fast. I just think that's going to be something that'll benefit the Cubs. And I had a conversation with Doug DeCenzo, the former Cub. We're actually going to put this on the podcast here sometime soon. And I told him, I said, Pete Crow Armstrong, X-ray vision, right? I'd start laughing. But I really believe that. I can't believe how he's able to see the things happen before they do and then take advantage with his wheels. But, he's also really good in an area where the Cubs have struggled this year, Charlie, and that is he is clutch. And they have been one of the worst clutch teams in baseball. So maybe bringing him up helps you there too. I think it's coming soon.
And you think it's coming in the form of potentially Mastrobuoni going down? Now that Tucker Barnhart's out of the mix and he's been DFA'd, I think that was the player that everyone pointed to and said there's probably no room on this roster for Tucker Barnhart moving forward. PCA should take that spot. They bring up Mastrobuoni. Is this just a buffer move until he's ready to go?
Well, there's probably something that they really like about him. Maybe it's his ability to play defense, Mastrobuoni, that you can put him in different spots. They may like the way that he approaches at bats. I don't know, but there's a reason that he's there. And I think that because he has options, when you want to bring up Pete Crow Armstrong, that'd be an easy move, send him back and bring up, Hollywood Pete. Plus the roster is going to expand in September anyway. So it's all coming. The issue that I have is that the Cubs need to win these games because they're better. You need to beat the teams you're better than, and you need to get some sweeps in there. You're in a pile right now for the last wild card spot, and then you're 3 games back, 2.5, but haven't really gotten closer than a game and a half behind Milwaukee. Milwaukee's been in first place for a long time now, and so the Cubs need to make a move right now.
The rotation: Javier Assad, Drew Smiley, back from the bullpen into the starting rotation, and Jameson Tyone are the 3 scheduled to pitch in Detroit, which brings up the question. Drew Smiley doesn't seem like a long-term solution there with the way that he pitched the last 5-6 times out. He's not winning the Cubs many games. I could look up the splits right now, and I'm sure it's like 1-5 over the last 6 times he pitched, unless maybe the offense was just on it when he was tossing, and that could be the case. But Jordan Wicks, could he be the 5th arm in the rotation?
Well, possibly. I think that there's a good chance that when the Cubs play the Reds in the doubleheader coming up in September, he may be an option to start one of those games. He's the best option that the Cubs have as far as starting pitching and guys that are healthy in the minor leagues. And he's also a former first-round pick. So, they're going to give him an opportunity to go up there. But it's all about throwing strikes for him. If he throws first or second pitch strikes, Jordan Wicks is a really tough guy to hit. And when he's ahead early, then all of a sudden he can really utilize his changeup, which is so good. He doesn't have the best fastball command, but when it's on, he's a tough guy to hit. And I think that eventually, as he gets better, he's a person that will be in the Cubs rotation, someone that they can count on.
He's made 20 starts this year at the AA and AAA level cumulatively. Only one of those 20 starts has he gone 6 innings. And if you go up and down the game logs of how he's pitched, 78 pitches, 5 innings, 1 run, 82 pitches, 5 1/3, 1 run, those sort of numbers consistently. What is the issue? Why is he not being stretched out? One quality start and 20 outings. What are the Cubs doing with his development?
All right, well, I'm going to give you both ends of this, okay? I'm going to tell you what their philosophy is. They're looking at analytics, and they're trying to make sure that he doesn't get hurt, so they're babying him in his development to save, obviously him from getting hurt and also innings. There's a certain inning threshold that they don't want him to go over. And the hope is that, hey, look, the guy gets to the big leagues at the end of the season, and he still has a lot of innings that he can pitch because he hasn't pitched a lot. That's the philosophy there. But on the other coin, I just think that you're missing an opportunity to really educate a guy who could be a great starter for you down the line by forcing him to go through the lineup 3 times. And maybe if you just did it a little bit, maybe a start every month, you said, hey, you know what, you're going to go 7 today and throw 100 pitches, but that's just not what the Cubs do. I've been very critical of the Cubs and their inability to develop starting pitching. They've fallen into some guys, but they've also, blown some of their first picks like Ryan Jensen, who they just weren't able to ever figure out how to get him to be his best. And you wasted $2 million in a guy that I think still could have a big league career. And at some point, I just would hope that someone would say, hey, look, analytics are great, but people are different. And the way that people do things and the way that people have success is different. We're all different. The way we learn is different. Like some people are visual learners, some people are audio learners, and some are a combination. Some of them, they have to actually do it and hear it, do it and see it. There's just a lot of different variables out there. I think we could become too heavily reliant on analytics, and it's hurt the Cubs' ability to develop starting pitching. And that goes back, since Theo Epstein was in charge. They're actually getting some guys close like Jordan Wicks. And so that's the good news. And, we'll see what happens when he gets to the big leagues. He had growing pains in AA, and then eventually he figured it out. And when he was on, I'm watching and I'm saying, hey, this guy's good. The other one that is coming soon is their number 2 prospect, Cade Horton. I don't think he's going to be ready this year, but this guy looks like a prototypical, number 3, number 2 starter in your rotation. But it's the same thing, the same argument, the same debate. How many pitches do you let the guy throw? And how worried are you about getting him experience, and how worried about you following analytics and getting him hurt? And, so we'll see what happens there too.
We've seen what has happened with Seiya Suzuki since his multi-game benching, and it's been really good. Swinging a hot bat. This is over the last 2 weeks. The numbers on the screen: 11 for 33, 3 long balls, and OPS at 1040, baby. That is really good from Seiya Suzuki, a player for the Cubs that I think had an OPS in the high 500s in June, and then the low 600s or mid 600s in July, and now he's at over 1,000 right now. What have you seen specifically from Seiya Suzuki that has led to this 2-week transformation? And I hate the double-barreled questions, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. Is this sustainable for him?
I think what happened was that he's been motivated. Mike Tauchman was starting to take a lot of his playing time. And when that happened, all of a sudden, you're the guy that was paid to come in and be a star on the team. You're not supposed to be just a regular player. At $17 million a year, you're expected to be someone that the Cubs can rely on to drive in runs, to play great defense, to run the bases. And that's what we've seen. There's a fire that's lit under Suzuki, and he's had some great at bats. Even some of the outs that he's had have been, where he's up there battling, and all of a sudden now he's seeing the ball better. I think that I've said this from the beginning. I think in the course of life, competition is a good thing for the roster. And I think the competition for him to get out on the field and help the team with Mike Tauchman has made him better.
If the Cubs want to go the distance this year, and I'm talking all the way, not just getting into the dance, but I'm talking World Series win this year, how important is it that Seiya Suzuki is playing the way that he is now?
Yeah, it's important, because I feel like sometimes this lineup doesn't produce outside of Bellinger. There's days where Ian Happ's quiet, where Nico Horner's quiet. Suzuki was struggling for a while there, and now he's back around. But you can't always rely on Cody Bellinger. You got to find some other guys to step up in there. Mike Tauchman doesn't get to play every day, but when he's been in, he's done a nice job. So, and Dansby Swanson's been pretty consistent as well. But it just feels like it's been Bellinger, then Swanson, and then, sometimes you have other guys and sometimes you don't. Suzuki needs to be that third prong, right? It needs to be Belly, Dansby, and Suzuki.
News and notes. The 4 finalists for the Rhino Sign Ball are popping up on your screen right now. I chose these, or Mick and I and Sam Valenti, our producer, chose these 4.
You chose them.
Yeah, let's get real. You were out. You were out, and there's a reason why Mick just seems a little less energetic than usual today. Let's just say the guy had a night. You see the Irish flag in the background right now.
The Innisfree bar right now
in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. But these are the 4 finalists for the Rhino Sign Ball. On tomorrow's show, we will pick out of a hat, and from there, we'll get the details from you on where to ship this thing. The Nico Horner bobblehead that Mick teased the other day, that's coming up after we deliver this ball. But we appreciate everyone for hanging out with us. Mick, I got one question for you. I did the solo show yesterday. What were your thoughts on my form with that Cubs chug under 5 seconds?
Look, I had a few chugs yesterday as well. Honored the life of a good friend of mine named Bull Corey, who passed away suddenly last Saturday. So I went and guest hosted his last ever outlaw country radio show, which was something that was really special. And then we had a party for him afterwards. We listened to a Willie Nelson bootleg from when back in college I helped put on this event, with Willie Nelson. So it was a big day. But you're right. Going back to what you said with chugging, I thought you had excellent form. That's the way you chug a beer. You just want to stick with it. You've got to follow through all the way through, and then when you're finished, you got to let out a woo.
Woo! By the way, the 481 was a little deceiving because you can see on the instant replay that I clicked it a little after. So I'm going to give myself like a 436 maybe. And by the way, which is also my 40 time. By the way, bought the tickets for August 30th. Brewers, Cubs, 120. It's a Wednesday. Budweiser bleacher seats, general admission. Hope to see you there, Mick. I have an extra one.
Yeah, and you did that, and I could have got you tickets for free. I meant to tell you that. So next time, just maybe give me a heads up, and I'll see if I can pull some strings.
See you, buddy.